Hi, everybody. Today I'm here with Nanette Albanese of I Reduce Taxes, a property tax reduction service, to learn about what you can do as a homeowner to make sure you're not overpaying on your tax bill. Nanette has been in the tax and assessment fields all of her professional life. First in a New York City law firm, then as an appraiser, and finally as an assessor in Pelham and Scarsdale Village. After 25 years as a village assessor, who better to know the process and help ensure the accuracy of your assessment? With the grieving period quickly approaching, I thought a refresher on the topic would be of interest. Welcome, Nanette.
Hi, Cindy. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. So the people that are watching might be wondering, am I paying too much in property taxes? And so my question to you would be, how does somebody know if they should grieve their taxes?
Okay, sure. That's the basic part of this. You have to remind people that they are protesting their assessment, which is the basis for taxation. So it's not directly related to taxation, but it's directly related to taxation. So they should reach out for information. They should seek out professional help. That's my recommendation, but certainly homeowners who are familiar with their property value can take on the process themselves. But there's nuances to the process that are important, and that's why hiring a professional, I feel, is the best way to go.
Right, like anything. I mean,
yes,
it's like hiring a real estate agent to represent you to sell a house, or hiring, you wouldn't do your own brain surgery.
Right, or you wouldn't, you could do for sale by owner, but you're right, it's more complex, it's more time consuming.
Right.
You're involved in the process, and if you need a third party to help you negotiate, you're on your own. So it's a similar concept.
Okay, so when is the grieving process? When can someone grieve their taxes?
Okay, normally, other than when we're not in a COVID lockdown situation, there's specifications in the law that set forth the deadlines for protesting assessments. In all towns in Westchester County, it's the third Tuesday in June, which this year is June 16th. There'll be some exceptions to that law this year. The governor signed an executive order allowing individual municipalities to extend their deadlines, and some have. For instance, the town of Mamaroneck has extended theirs to July 1. The town of Ossining has extended theirs to July 1. Scarsdale, Greenberg is still June 16th. So depending on where you live, I would have to, check to see which municipality is adhering to the statutory filing date period or whether they're going to extend.
Okay. And what about grieving? What about grieving outside of those timeframes? Is that allowed? Or?
Okay, it is not allowed. The law establishes only one period per year. Every property owner can protest the assessment. And like I say, for towns in Westchester County, it's always the third Tuesday in June.
Okay.
Some cities have different calendars. Villages have an entirely different calendar. They're generally February. Rockland County has an even different calendar, as does Long Island. So it's municipality specific, it's county specific, and feel free to reach out to me. I can help you with those filing deadlines.
Okay. So in a condensed version, how does the grieving process really work? Like, what are we trying to accomplish, and how does that work?
Okay, so I would have a property owner would contact me, and the first thing I would ask is, I'll take your property address, and I'll ask them certain questions about the property, how long you've owned it, what you paid for it, what school district is it in, tell me about the property, how big, 4 bedrooms, 3 baths, 4,000 or 5,000 square feet, depending. And then I would take that information and I would go online to the municipal assessment roll of that particular municipality, and they may also have some property inventory online. The municipalities that have done revaluation I have access to all of that information online. The municipalities that have not done that, you have to use other resources, and that's where I go to the HCAR MLS system. And I would also go to Google Earth to pull up a picture of the property or whatever other service may be available, and to give me a sense of the size. Being an appraiser for as long as I have been, I've been in this business for 38 years, that, I could estimate. It won't be perfect, it won't be exact, correct, but I can tell the difference between a 3,500 square foot house and say a 45 or 5,500 square foot house.
Right.
And so using that as the basis for my search, I would then go into the MLS system and I would search within 1 mile of that property. And I would use sales that occurred within 6 months before or 6 months after the prior July 1 valuation date. And that's critical to know. You're not protesting current values, you're protesting values as prior July 1. So my search for sales has to incorporate that time period. And then I could tell by the size of the house, the land area of the house, and the price at which they paid and when they paid for it, whether I think a property is overassessed. Sometimes I've run into properties that are underassessed, and I would say, you should sit where you are, don't rock the boat, and but you're sitting pretty.
Check in next year.
Yes, good. And
Right.
there are some properties where, on its face, it's very overassessed. And then there are those I'm like, look, you are within that 5% range of tolerance, where, if you're assessed for $1.3 million, but you think it's worth $1.2 million, that's a marginal case. That's going to be very hard to prove, but that's generally the process. That's it. And then if I make the recommendation that the property is overassessed and I think they should go forward, I will ask for their email address and I'll put that in writing, and I'll send them a packet. The law requires that you authorize somebody to represent you in these hearings. And so you have to sign an authorization, and I'll send you a little contract, which is an agreement between you and I as to my fees. And that's basically it. The process is long. Generally long, I should say. You could come to an agreement with the board of, with the assessor, or the board of review could give you a reduction. But the best case scenario is it'll take you a good couple of months to complete the process. And then there are some.
It'll take you a couple of months, right? Because
yes, I'm sorry. It will take me. That's right.
You're
We'll take
really
the process
all
takes.
the work for them, right? You're doing everything, and they're just.
That's right. The process takes how long it takes, and there are a lot of contingencies. How many other filings there are, how busy the assessor is, how much staff they have,
Sure.
How busy the court is, how long it takes to get on the court calendar. So there are a lot of variables, but some of them can run into 9 months. It can take 9 months before.
So let me make sure I understand. So if somebody retains you to do this work and they sign your contract and they've hired you, so you get to work on it. So the application for the grievance is filed by you between
That's right.
June 1 and
June 1st and June 16th.
June 16th.
In towns, yes.
And then it could actually take 9 months from then before.
That's right.
You could get an answer.
It could.
So you're working on it, and if you get an answer, in what time how does it work with each tax roll? Like if they were able to get a quick answer, does it go to the tax roll that's about to come out? Does it make it in time? You know what I'm asking?
Yes, I understand. Okay. A tax roll is different than an assessment roll, so you have to understand the timing of those two and the deadlines. Once you file that grievance, let's say you file it on June 1st.
Right.
The Board of Assessment Review doesn't meet until June 16th.
Right.
That's an open forum. People can go and make an oral presentation. And then after that, the close of business on that day, the board closes their hearings, and then they go into the deliberative sessions that are private amongst themselves, and they will rule on each individual claim depending on the evidence submitted.
I see.
All of their decisions are not issued until September 15th. They may finish on the 14th, they may finish on the 1st, but they become public as of September 15th.
So that's when the homeowner finds out.
That's when everybody finds out the decision of the Board of Review.
Okay. And so if they say yes, then what happens?
Well, if they say they think that the property assessment is high, they will offer to reduce it, and they will put it in writing. It's required by law that the Board of Review determinations be in writing, and they send that to the representative, myself, or if somebody represents themselves, it'll go to the property owner. But I will take a look at their decision, and I will make a judgment as to whether, if they didn't give you anything, what are your prospects of success on an appeal? And if they gave you a little something, is there additional room to get even more? Or if they reduced it to the amount that you thought it should be reduced to, then that's the end of the process. So there are three possibilities.
So in September, they're actually giving you what they think the new assessment would be. They're saying, okay, your new assessment number, we think should be 1.3. And then you can
Correct.
say, great, that's what I wanted, or you
Right.
can decide then if you want to appeal.
Right. I would just add, just for, full disclosure, that most board
Sure.
assessment review don't reduce a lot of assessments. I have my
What,
own opinion as to
right?
why that is. Some of them don't want to give up assessed value.
Sure.
Face it, that means the tax burden is going to be spread amongst the remaining property owners. Some don't feel that they have enough evidence, or some don't feel that they know enough about that particular property to know whether the evidence submitted was adequate or not, or is dispositive as to the value of that property.
Right.
So they refer that to the assessor, or they won't reduce it. They'll issue the letter to the homeowner or the representative, and then it's up to them to appeal it further to the small claims court. And that appeal process is generally where the majority of the time is spent before it can be resolved. But it brings it back into the jurisdiction of the assessor at that point.
Okay, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And so here's the big question. If I renovate my house, okay, so we have people looking at homes that need renovation. Maybe they need a
Yes.
kitchen, they need bathrooms, whatever. So if somebody buys one of these homes and
Mm-hmm.
they file permits and they do a renovation, what's going to happen to that assessment? How's that going to be re-evaluated?
Okay, if you're in the town of Greenberg, the town of Ossining, the town of Rye, those are municipalities, or town of Pelham that have done recent revaluations, it's going to be the fair market value of that renovation added to the base assessment. All properties have a base assessment. That base assessment commenced in the year of the revaluation. And so it's the assessor's judgment as to how much value is added to the property as a result of that renovation.
Wow.
So
Okay.
you use the, the $1 million property and you do a $350,000 renovation. It's not $1 million plus 350. That would be the maximum that it could be, but it might be $1 million plus 250. It would be rare that it would be $1 million plus 500.
Okay.
That would have to be an instance where somebody could show that your cost of construction was below fair market cost. And that's hard to do in Westchester County where construction costs are so high.
Right.
So that's how that works. If you're in a municipality that has not done revaluation, it's a similar concept. The cost of renovation sets the upper limit of value. So if you have that same $1 million property and you do a $350,000 renovation, you have to look to see what that base assessment is. If that base assessment is $900,000, even though it's $1 million property before you did the renovation, it's only the maximum cost of construction plus the base assessment of $900,000.
Okay.
And then, of course, you've got to add in that residential assessment ratio. You have to do that mathematical calculation, and that's what the assessor will do. You have to convert those numbers to assessed values when they are at full market value.
Okay. Okay.
Make sense?
Almost. So,
Okay,
so in Scarsdale, let's say, because that's the primary market where I am, if somebody buys a house for, let's say, $1 million, and let's say the assessment is 900, okay, okay, and then they do $200,000 worth of renovations.
Mm-hmm.
Is the new assessment going to be what they paid plus, because that would really be the fair market value, right? What they paid plus 200, so 1.2 is the new assessment, or
Okay, not in Scarsdale.
Okay, good.
Not in Scarsdale. You'd have to convert, if they had that original assessment was 900,000, you'd have to multiply that times the residential assessment ratio, which this year in 2020 is 98.80. That's an assessment of 889,200.
Okay.
So the 889,200 plus the 200 maximum. And it's hard to get that maximum, by the way. A lot of property owners don't report their full costs. I understand that concept. But, when you're looking at a renovation as an assessor, you can judge about what it's going to cost.
Right.
In this business long enough, you have a good sense of construction costs. You can see in the details, it'll hit you in the face as to the quality of that renovation.
Right. Of the
and therefore you can translate that to cost.
I see. Okay, well, I mean, this has been really helpful. So I think some of are you there, Nanette?
Right. But in that scenario, the max would be 89.
I'm losing you. You're frozen on my screen. Nanette?
Okay.
Nanette?
I'm here.
Oh, you're frozen. Your picture's frozen. It's not, oh, there you are. Now you're back.
I haven't moved. I'm sorry about that.
That's so weird. Well, hopefully we can edit that out. If
That's
not,
working from home, right? These these
exactly.
connections are not always stable.
So I wanted to just recap that I think the number one important thing is if you feel like you're paying too much in taxes or you feel like you're overassessed, to call you. That's
Yes,
it doesn't cost
that's
anything
easy.
for them to call you and talk to you on the phone.
Doesn't cost me a thing, and it doesn't cost the property owner a thing. It's the smart thing to do. Educate yourself,
Right.
and you can decide how you want to go forward.
And then the other important thing is that the dates are, again, for Scarsdale and no one's sooner than June 1st, right?
No, Rockland County, rest of the state is sooner. They're the fourth Tuesday in May, which is May 26th. But no, the
But
date,
Westchester, yeah, I mean, where we
they're
are,
upon
our
us.
markets are.
Right. It's 2 weeks away, 3 weeks away. So people should be taking steps now to think about the process, how they'd like to go, and not delay any further, because the longer you delay, the less likely it is that we can get your documentation prepared on time. But we take grievances right up to the last day. That's not a problem. But we'd have to gather the supporting evidence and submit that subsequent to the filing of the grievance.
Okay, so if anybody's thinking about it, go ahead and make the phone call to you.
Yes, now's the time.
Okay, and is there anything else that I left out that you can think of that you want to share?
I don't think so. Each property, this process is property specific. I had a call the other day about a property owner who owned an adjacent vacant lot, and the question became, whether that was integral to the main parcel or whether that was actually a separate building lot, and could it be subdivided off? And I was able to figure it out. I was able to determine that it's integral to the property and that it has to protest the assessment on both of the properties. So, that it's a little unique scenario, but they do come up. You'd be surprised.
Right. Okay, well, good. Well, I'm going to share this like we
Okay.
discussed, and I'm also going to share your contact information with everyone so that they'll be able to reach out. And
Thank you.
Why don't you just tell the name of your company again is?
Okay, I'm working under the company name of I Reduce Taxes. My website is ireducetaxes.expert, and my email address is nanette@ireducetaxes.expert, and my phone number is 914-714-3386. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining me today.
Thank you, Cindy. Have a good day.
You too.
Thank you.